right, guys. We want to welcome everybody to the End of Blind podcast. I'm Cloyd Rivers. This is my co-host Eric Gunderson, and we're here today with the hottest thing in country music, with Mr. Riley Green.
What's up, fellas?
It's good to see you, buddy. How you been?
Yeah, man, good. This is my kind of podcast, Camouflage Recliners.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Like
I
it.
almost came in and came on so I could hide from everybody.
Yeah. I guess I could have came in like my house slippers. It's like feels like home back here.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're calling it camo cozy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
is.
Feels good.
Camo chic. Yeah, we're probably not cool enough for that. From Alabama. I'm a big Alabama guy. What about you? Says Alabama.
Most of me, I think. I mean, I think when I was writing songs starting out, I wrote about where I was from and what I knew and kind of how I grew up, and I didn't have any visions of it going much outside of that. You know, I was playing little small hole-in-the-wall bars right there in Northeast Alabama, and then when I started to, branch out and play other places, and then obviously get to Nashville and sign a record deal, I became a little bit more proud of it because, we don't have a lot of Alabama guys. Everybody's from Georgia. Country
Yeah.
music, you got Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, Cole Swindell, Brantley Gilbert, all of them guys that came up, and I'm kind of trying to carry the flag.
Yeah,
for
we
Alabama
need some
artists.
more Alabama boys in the game. Being from a small town, same way. Nobody ever makes it out, dude. Like it's wild.
Yeah, it's funny too because I think now that I want to get back as often as I can.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like a vacation for me to go back home.
100%. Probably the only place you feel peace. Going from there to Jacksonville. Actually, what's funny is I have a little gift for you today. I was gonna wait a little while, but figured I'd go ahead and get it to you now. I played golf with a gentleman yesterday. And
From Jacksonville State?
He said, "Oh, I went to college with Riley Green."
on, man.
And I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And he goes, "Give this to him tomorrow."
Who was it?
That's awesome.
I have to look him up. I got his Instagram. I'll let you know. He said he probably wouldn't know me. He's like, but he's like, we.
Well, that's
obviously
funny
know who he is.
because back home everybody's like, "Yeah, remember Riley's cousin?" I know, when people ask me, like, maybe,
Well, Alabama.
they weren't bragging about knowing me back in the day, So is that a golf thing? You give somebody your
Well, no,
your
I
ball
think
marker
he
at the
just
end? You did it because
wanted
of that.
he wanted me to give it to you.
okay? 'Cause I was
Yeah.
about to say I've been screwing up all this time. I haven't been giving my ball marker.
What's
to people.
funny is I looked at it and I was like, man, this thing's got some miles on it. And I was like, he must really like Riley because he's giving up his ball marker.
He must have a few of them.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
he's got 5 of them in the bag.
Yeah.
Played
No,
a trash around the other day. So
I
figured
know
you'd give
you're
it up.
an Alabama guy. I was I grew up an Auburn fan, and being from Alabama, we don't have any pro teams. We're all Braves fans, but we're all big Alabama Auburn. You kind of split down the middle, and I've gotten because of my ties with Jacksonville State, and that's really who I pull for now. So I've got where I don't get upset about Auburn getting
Either
beat
one,
anymore.
yeah.
And I kind of pull for both of them. I mean, there was a run there when Alabama or Auburn won the national championship every year for about 5 years. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that was great for the state, and it's kind of swayed back to even now. Nobody's
Yeah.
really dominating down there, but I love going down and catching up with Jacksonville and keeping up with them and trying to help out with that university because that is still home for me. Even though I spend a lot of time here in Nashville, I'm definitely love getting back to Alabama.
Absolutely, big step on the path, I would say.
Yeah.
I know that they think a lot of you down there. They definitely love them some Riley Green down at Jacksonville State.
Well, yeah, when I was in school there and barely making it to class on time, they didn't care as much. But,
Yeah.
now that we can have a concert and help pay for a new building or something down there, they really like me a lot.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I guess that's how it works sometimes. Huh?
Yeah.
Start putting buildings up, they start coming around a little.
Goes
bit.
a long way.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Jump in
So
there.
where did you? I know you were big into athletics and playing sports and stuff all through your younger life. Like, when did you really make that conscious decision that, hey, I'm going to write songs, I'm going to play music, I'm going to go try to get a deal, I'm going to try to make this thing happen?
I don't think I ever did. I mean, I played lead guitar in a band when I was in college. I mean, I played guitar as a kid. I was a decent guitar player. I didn't sing. We were trying to get through a 2-hour set, so I started to play a couple of cover songs I would sing during the set. I think Last Dance of Mary Jane and
Nice.
a couple other Tom Petty songs was kind of what I played. And then I got started asked to come play cover shows, at these little restaurants and bars. And I eventually just got tired of playing the same songs every week, so I started writing songs. And that was, I didn't have any goals with it. I just kind of did it for fun. And sometimes people would go, man, play that song you played last week again, And so I really learned how to write by seeing what went over well. You know, like if somebody set their beer down and looked up when I said this certain line, I thought, man, I need to write something like that, or
Right.
this certain type of song did really well, or whatever it is. So, you know, nobody I knew wrote songs. I'd never been to Nashville. I didn't have anybody to write with. I just started writing, and eventually, I think our band won a Battle of the Bands at Brothers Bar in Jacksonville, and we got some studio time. We went and cut 3 of the songs that were the band songs, and we had time for one more.
Right.
We cut a song of mine, and that was kind of how recording music started for me. It was like in some guy's garage. I think it cost a few $100, and I started putting the songs out on the internet, and people started to request them, and it was very accidental. There was no like, hey, I'm going to write songs and be a musician and go to Nashville, and it was completely the opposite for me.
That's awesome.
Man, that's cool. You say that about paying attention to the crowd. And, you know, I several years as a touring DJ, and that's a skill that DJs like. That's the most important skill.
Oh yeah.
All I do is watch people and their movements and how they respond to the songs that I play, and then, I got them. You know, it's kind of like fishing. You know, you get the hook in, you just reel them in and then keep them going.
You know, it's funny to say this because I'm so much further in my career, and people think that I'm better, but like I'm half the guitar player I was 10 years ago because everybody in my band's so good. I don't have to be that good anymore. And not that I was ever really good, but, and also as far as like putting on a show, like it gets easier. Like, I mean, you know, now we're going and I'm playing a sold out arena. It's my tour. They're coming to see me. They're not going to boo me. There's no like guesswork about whether they're going to like it or not. They know that, you know, there's songs that are hits already.
Yeah.
So, you know, whereas I used to have to go and sit down in a room where people came to eat, they didn't even come to see me.
Right.
And I had to try to win them over.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot easier. So when I have to go play that kind of acoustic show in a, you know, a different kind of setting, it's tough. It reminds me how hard that was back in the day, and kind of keeps you honest when you go play those shows like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
The funny part of the business is, like you said, coming up, having to play rooms for radio shows. You know, I remember we played a place, it was a Mexican restaurant in Asheville, North Carolina. Nobody gave a shit that we were there. Nobody even wanted us there. They asked us if we could be quiet.
Yeah.
But we're playing in front of this painted chicken on a wall. And, you know, that was the first, at least back then, that was the first 3-4 years of the career, just doing those type of shows.
Well,
and
Josh can tell you, I played at a Mexican restaurant in Jacksonville for, 5 years, every week. There was 3 bars in Jacksonville. It was Brothers, Pelham's, and Heroes.
Wow.
And I played every week.
Yeah.
And then the Mexican restaurant. And, I mean, we had a good time. I don't think people came because I was good. They just came because they knew it was going to be a party.
Right.
You know? And I'm
then
sure
turns out you were good, and then it just
I was good
add
enough to play at the Mexican restaurant. There
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of competition in Jacksonville, Alabama at the time.
Well, I'd
Kinda
say,
funny.
looking at it now, you're good enough to play pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, Jose still calls me too. He wants me to play it on there. So they'll pay me $350.
That must be a thing with country music singers. 'Cause I was in college with another country music singer, and he used to play the El Chicos in Murfreesboro all the time.
Yeah, mine was, I didn't have a manager or a booking agent or anything like that. I was still building houses, doing construction work during the week. So if I could go play and make $150, or even just drink for free, which is what we ended up doing a lot of times, you know, I'd go play every weekend, and it was I had a little business card with my phone number on it, and it was just
awesome.
Anywhere they'd let me come play, I'd play there.
Dude, what I
Coffee
gotta
shops,
do
whatever.
to get a hold of one of those business cards. You still got any of those?
I'll tell you the
floating around?
craziest thing is I've still got the same phone number.
That's
So
awesome.
that can tell you
Nice.
how much
That's
fan
awesome.
mail or scam, whatever you call it, I get is my phone, if I don't have the number saved, it doesn't even ring. It just goes straight to voicemail.
That's smart. Yeah.
Now, were you playing music while you were playing football?
Yeah. I would say that's probably. I wouldn't say I was going to make it to the NFL, but that was the downfall of my football career, was
Right.
staying out all night in bars. I really struggled to get to 9:15 class or
Right.
even 5:30 a.m. workouts when I was out at Brothers Bar till 2 or 3 in the
Right.
morning. You know,
Well, that makes sense.
I had a coach tell me, who I'm still really good friends with today, but in college, told me that, you know, you can't do some of this and some of this and some of that. You know, you got to.
Right.
And I was doing a lot more of this, a lot more of the
Yeah.
staying out all night and playing music. And it wasn't, even then, it wasn't because I thought I was going to be playing music for a living. I just really enjoyed it.
Right.
And the girls liked it too. That was cool.
Yeah, it's always an added plus.
Yeah, it's a very strong motivator in the college years, for sure.
Yeah. Man.
No doubt about that.
So what's it like for you on the road now compared to the beginning of your career? I mean, you kind of have the world at your fingertips, it seems like. You're dominating things. You're, you know.
Well, there's no like, I mean, I would say in the last 5 or 6 years, I signed a record deal in 2018. but I was already touring. I already had some pretty big tours. I went out with Brad Paisley right around that time, so that was my first opening spot on a major tour.
Yeah.
But I would say over the last 5 or 6 years, things have grown so much. There's not really been a comfortability where I sit down and go, okay, this is how it is, and I got it. Every year it's
Right.
bigger. We add a third bus and then a fourth bus,
Right.
or big giant LED walls or video screens or 2 trucks going out or more employees or whatever it is. And then you also have the fact that you have more songs. You got brand new music all
Yeah.
the time to go tour with. You got to keep building that. So it's a constant thing. It constantly changes, and you keep trying to make the show better and better all the time. And it is easier in the sense of, I'm not driving my truck
Right.
5 hours after a show to get back home. I'm gonna ride the bus. Things are a lot better now.
Right.
But it's still a grind. I mean, probably more so now than then is I don't sleep in my bed often.
Right.
Which is a tough thing. I'd say the hardest thing about touring as a country music artist, for me, especially where I am, is just being gone all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know that. I'm a homebody, growing up on a farm. It'd be hard to be away all the time. I don't know how you guys do that sometimes. But
Yeah, and I'm in a duo, so I have somebody else out there to do it with.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be different as a solo artist when you got your band, you got your friends and stuff out there, but at the same time, I can imagine it gets more lonely than it does for just like, me and Steven out there. And,
Yeah.
I know how much I miss home, so I'm sure that's...
I didn't realize what a record deal entailed. I didn't
Right.
really know what it meant. I thought it was cool, and I thought
Yeah.
I might have a chance to have some songs on the radio. And I can remember when I was meeting with record labels, because I had 4 record labels offer me a deal, and when I was with Eric Dillon, a songwriter buddy of mine,
Yeah.
I said, man, I can't wait till I figure out who I'm signing my publishing deal with and who I'm signing my
Right.
record deal with, so I can go home and relax a little bit. He's like, dude, you have no idea. Like, you're about to go on the road, and obviously I did, but it's I think I had in my head that I was going to kind of keep my nose down and grind for a couple of years and do all the stuff, just be
Right.
gone, and then kind of dial it back and have a life outside of it. And over the last about 3 years, I've realized this kind of is my life.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's not reality. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're out there on the road and you're playing shows and people are screaming your name and stuff like that's not reality. You
Right.
got to have some kind of way to come back from that. But living on the road and touring is going to be my life for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So I hired a good buddy of mine, Josh, come out on the road with me, and it's just a little bit of that. It's just being able to have some familiarity
Yeah.
and to be able to kind of share something with people that you like and your buddies,
Yeah.
because it is a really cool thing we get to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a grind and it's tough, and I complain about it, but it beats driving nails.
that's one thing I
Absolutely.
like about your music myself is that most of your
It's
songs
just one thing.
are yeah, you got the whole package, man. But most of the stuff, your songs have some weight to them. Like they're important. They talk about important things. It's not just they're not all just beer drinking songs. Grandpa's Never Die, man. I think that hits home for everybody.
Incredible song.
And so, when you get to those important songs, like, you're aware, obviously, that they're more important too. Do those songs mean more to you?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because I don't make music for me.
Yeah.
And it's a weird thing to think about, but like, yeah, I write songs that I want to write, and sometimes it's things that are really close to my heart. Obviously, I wrote I Wish Grandpa's Never Died after my granddaddy passed away, and I had no visions of it being a hit for me. I wrote it kind of as a tribute to them. I got drunk in Macon, Georgia after a show and played it. People videoed it, put it on YouTube. It got a couple million views in about a week, and so we went and cut it. I had a different single at country radio, so I do write songs like that, but I'm playing music for fans, and I'm trying to
Right.
write songs that they're going to relate to, and that's how I learned to write. So it's a thing that you got to kind of balance. I think country radio kind of wants a certain sound in a lot of ways, and that's not the ride around tear jerking kind of song.
Right.
People
Right.
want to ride around and cry all day, and that's not really what they want to play on the radio. So for me, it's like I've got to balance a way to write songs that are, tap your foot, roll the window down, fun, lighthearted
Yeah.
things. I mean, my single I just had at country radio was "Damn Good Day to Leave," which is that kind of song.
Great song.
My first hit at country radio was "There Was This Girl," and that's it's just a fun song.
Yeah.
Right.
But the songs that I like to play and I like to write are Jesus Saves is one of them.
Yeah, dude, I still can't. That should have been Song of the Year. in my
I look
opinion.
forward to playing that song every
Yeah.
night, and it's not the one that gets the biggest, but I can look out there and I see people that are, affected by it emotionally, and that's what I enjoy about writing songs. That's something that doesn't get old to me.
Yeah, that's got to be the coolest part, in my opinion. I remember when I DJ'd and, just being able to affect people with music, when I'd look out and see people singing along, and, maybe it's not an important heavyweight song, but just seeing people interact and knowing that, hey, like I'm touching them right now. They're with me. They're participating with me and what we got going on. That's got to be a really cool feeling.
Yeah, I'll never forget too. I was out with Brad Paisley, and I wrote "I Wish Grandpa's Never Died" while I was on that tour, and I was having some good success at the time, and I was thinking about there's a lot of guys that have a couple of hits on the radio, and there's songs that people really know. I mean, when they hear them, they sing along, and,
right.
and that, but they're not necessarily the meaningful type song that really has that. And what I've noticed is like that song has got me fans for life.
Yeah,
for sure.
There and that was something I had to kind of be mindful of too. Is there are people that come to my show just for "I Wish Grandpa's Never Died," like just to hear that song, and it may be because of their relationship with their granddaddy or whatever it was, but that's something that's also motivating in a way that I hadn't thought about, because I always thought it was cool to play country music, but there are things that get monotonous about it. I mean, you're on a bus, you wake up in a city, it doesn't matter where you are, you do the same thing regardless of what city it is.
Yep.
Sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot.
Yep.
And you play the same songs, and it's the same set. Once you kind of get a show right, you kind of keep it pretty similar, and trying to bring the same energy every night and play it as if it's the first time somebody might be hearing it. That song kept me kind of in check in that world. So
Cool.
I'm mindful of that. And those are the songs I enjoy playing the most anyway.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
I think it's a cool place to be as a writer and an artist, is to be able to write those songs that you're passionate about, that move the needle for you, that make you feel something. Be able to play that song every night and look out and see how it impacts somebody different in a different way that's going through something completely different. But
100%.
music literally can save lives, and if somebody's in a really dark place, and that one song at the right time literally could save their life. You have no idea, and there's 1,000 different stories out in the room that any given night.
That's right.
And I think that's for me
And
what
like
makes
I said,
it all worth
it's a tough
it.
balance to write those songs and the fun beer drinking songs, whatever they are, because you got to have a good balance of both.
Yeah, there's a place for all of it, I think.
I've never gotten really high on myself as a songwriter. I think that what I've been successful at doing is, for lack of a better term, I can say things very simply.
Yeah.
And it's very relatable to people, because I just sing about kind of what I know and what I see and how I grew up. And I think a lot of people grew up the same way. But I'll be in a room with somebody writing, and what the term I think we use is being a little too songwritery.
Right.
And a lot of them tend to do that sometimes, and it works.
Yeah.
But I'm always like kind of, hey, well, hold on a second. Like, I think how would Jim Bob say it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's always worked really well for me. And when you write songs that are true to you, especially I write a lot of songs by myself, I think fans can see the authenticity of, he really went through that. And maybe it's not exactly how the song says it, but it's at least something sparked me to think that, something I've come across in my life or some relationship. So I think that's what is kind of led me to be successful, is I just write about things that I've kind of dealt with, and I think a lot of people kind of grew up the same way as me.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the reason you have such a loyal fan base. Like Rally Green fans, they really like Rally Green, and I think you're authentic, dude. Like you do all the hunting, you do all the stuff that you stand for and that you put out there. You are that guy. I think a lot of times these guys can get showy. You got a lot of pretend cowboys in country music.
I just got lucky that I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not good at pretending to be whatever else I'm supposed to be. There was this girl as a great example. Like, that song's a big hit for me, but I've got songs like Numbers on the Cars is a song I wrote about my granddaddy having Alzheimer's, and still remembering who drove what car and what number it was, and what lure was in the tackle box and what drawer, whatever, but he might not remember my name.
That's great.
And I wrote that song, and it's not a big hit for me. But like, I got lifelong fans from that song, and still to this day, probably one of the top 5 that people come up to me and go, "Hey man, this song hit me because of this,"
Right.
And my grandmother, my mom, or whatever, it's not NASCAR, but she remembers this and these things, So that's what's cool, is when you write stuff that affects somebody like that.
Heck yeah.
You said something a minute ago about authenticity. I'm curious to get your opinion, like, with everything in our business being so social media driven, TikTok, Instagram, do you find that it's harder to be authentic, trying to play that game and do things that are going to apply on those platforms?
For one thing, I decided pretty early I wasn't going to be good at that game, so I haven't dug too far into it. I've got a TikTok, I guess. My camera guy runs it, And,
I think I have one.
Yeah. And well, I don't now. I guess it got deleted, and I got a new phone, so it's not on there. But I've got one somewhere. But it's interesting because I don't think I would have the career I've got without social media, because I did have such a big fan base before I came to Nashville, and that's kind of how people heard about me. I would play a song I wrote, put it on, I guess it was Facebook at the time.
Right.
It wasn't a viral thing. I mean, it wasn't like now where, kind of overnight it can jump up. And I think, to your point, it's hard to have blinders today. And that's even in this town, too. You say you come into town and you're not really having a lot of success, and you see so-and-so is. And you go, well, man, they're writing with this guy. And they're writing this kind of song. Maybe I need to be writing with them and doing this. This song's going up the chart. Mine's not. Maybe I need to be doing more. So that's a really easy thing to fall into, I think, for a lot of people in this town. And with, you can have a kid that yesterday was nobody that did this video of him doing some song, and it flies up and it becomes a hit before yours does. And you go, man, is that what I should be doing? Right. So I can see how it could be a problem. I think I kind of stay in my lane pretty well because I only know how to do one thing,
Yeah, which is great, dude. I mean, the social media thing obviously is important, but it's very watered down. It's so saturated. If you put a bunch of energy into standing out, I think sometimes you do come across as unauthentic. So it's, just be yourself and put out your own stuff. And I think people will kind of just gravitate towards that because it's real and it's not showy. And, I was booked bands in Vegas for a long time, and whenever I first started booking bands out there, we were sending all our guys from Nashville, and I had a lot of Vegas bands hitting me up and wanting to play, and I tried them out, and what I realized was that they didn't work because they're showy.
Yeah.
Like, no one really wants to see a Brooks and Dunn tribute band with a guy playing a guitar with no strings. Like, they want authentic. They want to see a real singer-songwriter get up there. They want real emotions, real stories, and that goes so much further than just getting up there and putting on a fake show. Yeah. So I think it's one of the things that's great about you as an artist is that you don't really do any of that.
Yeah, I gotta give it credit to just that I played a lot of shows. That's where I learned how to do whatever I'm doing, and I played 120 plus shows for the last decade. Yeah. And I mean, it's even like I've even figured out from playing shows what I could do that's a little bit outside of my box. I mean, my single at country radio is Worst Way, and that's a song I wrote. I wrote it by myself, but it's not really what I normally do. It's a very love song, kind of sexier type song, and I can remember I used to cover Eric Church Wrecking Ball, and that song did really well. And I had nothing like that. And so, the song stylistically isn't really like that song, but I just thought, man, something like that would work if I can do it. So that was kind of how I learned what I could do, branching out a little bit. And, to the social media thing. I think there was I played a video of it, put it on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and my workout bag was in the back behind me, and there was a strap over my shoulder, and everybody said it was a purse. So it was it went viral because everybody was trying to figure out whose purse it was.
Oh my God.
So I mean, I couldn't have done that on purpose if I wanted to, But it's funny how that stuff works, and that's again, social media is it's a double-edged sword because I hate it sometimes, but it's necessary,
It's necessary evil, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I think it also. Sorry to interrupt, but it says a lot about you and your kind of steadfastness to your craft and not chasing fads. I have so many friends in this business that, like we were talking about, they see so-and-so as a writer's song going up the chart. They see this is working. So-and-so did this viral video fad type thing, and they
see a lot of it.
You see somebody in their underwear doing that, or I'm just like, man, is that really the image you're
I
going
had no
for?
doubt if I'd have came to town, when I was 22, 25, or 26, before I had a brand and really had a following, I'd probably be the same way. I mean, I could see how easy that would be to fall into.
Be out there running around in your underwear.
Yeah, what's the underwear cowboy up there in New York?
Yeah.
I try anything.
I'm sure there's a lot of young women out there that would appreciate that. So there's still time.
I'm glad we don't have to do that.
Amen.
No doubt. Getting off of music a little bit, you can see I wore my
Oh yeah.
my Stone Cold shirt. What was that experience like? The Redneck Island thing.
It was really eye opening for me. I mean, I hadn't even been on a plane before. I don't think at that time. I was playing a show at the Floribama, and a guy comes up to me in between sets and said he was a casting agent for some show on CMT. Thought I'd be good for it. I figured it was some dude that was drunk. Gave him my number. Somebody called me from LA like the next week. Went out to Atlanta, put me in a hotel, gave me all these psych evaluation tests, stress tests, all this stuff. Long story short, I get on the show and it's me and 23 other people. I was really iffy about doing it because I've never watched a reality show where I thought, man, that guy looks smart. Like they make everybody look so crazy.
Yeah.
And but it was a competition kind of show, so I figured at least half of the episode's going to be that, not just all like the real world drama,
Yeah.
Right.
And I figured if they mentioned that I played music, it might help me a little bit. I didn't really see a lot from it. I don't think the show really did all that well. It was their last season doing it, but
Yeah.
ended up winning the show. Stone Cold was great, man. It was really
He
cool.
seems like an awesome guy. I mean, I grew up, I'm a little redneck, so
Yeah.
I grew up a big fan of Stone Cold. One of my most embarrassing moments is I took a Stone Cold T-shirt into the tattoo studio when I was 18 years old and was like, put the Texas rattlesnake on my arm. And they did, and I still have it. I can't bring myself to cover it
Can't
up.
cover that one up.
It's too good of a story. But yeah, he seems like a pretty solid dude, pretty
Yeah, he
straight
was
down
good,
the line.
man. And I mean, I did learn a lot about like the production side of things. I mean, even for like radio and doing stuff like this or whatever, was when we would film an episode. I mean, it's not like you're filming like a movie. Like they just film you all day.
Yeah.
And so we'd film 2 or 3 episodes, and then we would go and do this kind of thing, which was, you always see them on a show. They'll be in like a room, and they're just
Right.
talking about what's going on at the
Like a
time.
debriefing
But that's
type
filmed
thing?
like several days later, and the lady would have a script. And I remember the first time I did it, it took like 4 hours, and I was just miserable in there. And I realized they have a story that they're
Right.
trying to tell. There's some kind of, it's not a script, but they're trying to make it look a certain way. So I would just be like,
They're
"What do
painting
you?"
a picture.
Yeah, what do you? She's like, well, when so and so said this, what were you thinking? I'm like, I didn't even know that happened, but they're showing the camera to me, making a face like I heard them, or what,
Right.
So I eventually just started going, man, what do y'all? Tell me the plot,
Yeah.
and I'll help you. I'll give you what you want, just so I can get out of there quicker. But there's a lot of that in like what little bit of like acting I've done in music videos and stuff like that. That was helpful. I had no idea what went into a show like that.
Yeah.
So you brought up acting. We talked a few weeks ago. You gonna be dabbling in a little acting soon?
Yeah, just like I needed something else to be doing. Like
Yeah.
I'm not busy enough. Yeah, I mean, I read for a couple of things in LA a week or so ago, and it looks like I may try a little bit
May
of it
show
out.
up
I mean,
on-
it's such a great time. And obviously, you saw Laney with Yellowstone, how great that was for
Yeah.
her. And I mean, I think I would enjoy it. I think it's kind of another challenge, and certainly something that goes well with country music. I mean, the Western lifestyle is showing up so much in
Yeah.
all these shows
Oh yeah.
that and they're getting all these country music artists to play on them and show up, make cameos, and even playing their music on them. So it's a great time for that. I guess if I was ever going to do it, now would be a
Now's the
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that. That's I had a little bit of experience with some reality TV auditions, and I realized pretty quickly that just like you said, they have a story they're trying to tell, and they're gonna get you pointed in that direction,
Oh, yeah.
whether you want to be pointed in that direction or not.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Back to the music side of things, being on a major record label and having that deal, have you gotten to the point in your career yet where you've had any issues on the label side of things, trying to control things in a way that you're not comfortable with? Or?
I think, well, I've had issues like everybody else,
Right.
probably daily, but that's
Yeah.
with management or whoever, it's such the thing you got to remember is everybody has the same goal. Everybody's
100%.
making money off of me making money, so they want me to be successful.
Right.
Nobody's trying to screw me over. But at the same time, nobody knows my fan like I do. Nobody knows my brand like I do. No, I've sent songs to the label that they went, that's all right, and then it become a big hit for me.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of that. You got to just you got to make sure everybody knows their lane to a
Yeah.
certain extent. Like what I need a label to do is country radio. I need
Yeah.
them to get my songs played on the radio. That's advertisement to a giant market of people that maybe
Yeah.
I don't know me yet.
Right.
But as far as the creative side, I was really fortunate that I had so much going on when I came to town,
Yeah.
and when labels started coming to shows, and we were selling a couple thousand tickets all over the Southeast.
It's
I had
fantastic.
25 plus songs already out recorded.
Wow.
There was This Girl was my first single, but I already had it recorded to put out myself
Right.
when I started meeting with labels. You know, so it was
That's
it was very different than a lot of people do it, but I got total creative control, you know, in my contract and all that. And like this last album I cut, I don't think I sent a song to the label.
Wow.
You know, Dan Huff does such a great job, and he's really gotten to know me over the years that I think we're really kind of hitting on all cylinders. And I'll send him a song, say this is what I want to do, and we just go do it.
Yeah.
You know?
He's such a beast and
He's great. Man.
such an incredible guitar player. Good guy. That's really cool. What does your process look like on the recording side of things? You know, is there a particular way you like to do things? Get a bunch of songs in the can as far as writing goes? You like to write in the studio?
It seems like I'm constantly writing and constantly recording.
Yeah.
You know, and now you don't record an album and cut it all and put it out. You kind of
Right.
put out, you know, a few at a time or like an EP or whatever that is. You got to keep in mind, I knew nothing about anything when I came
Right.
to town. So everybody was demoing these songs. And what I realized is, you know, you go write with these guys, they write with everybody else, and they go demo these songs with the same players as everybody else.
Right.
And they're going to play some of the same licks. There's stylistically, things are going to get monotonous, which happens in country radio. You hear a lot of things that sound the same. So I realized, and it took me several years, was like, I would write a song with somebody and I would just hate the demo. I think it was too pretty or whatever. So I wouldn't cut it. And then I realized, like, that's a great song, you know? And so what I started doing was I would go and, work tapes on my phone, like rough work tapes.
Right.
I might go into a little studio with my guitar and cut a work tape like that.
Guitar vocal.
But that's all I take to the studio, because the other side of it is when you go in there and I sit down with Dan and these studio musicians, they hear that really done up demo, they're going to play something like that.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it's great. I mean, when the demo sounds great, they're going, oh, that's the intro lick.
Yeah.
And that's taking a lot out of the creative process, taking it away from me.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of these demos, I'm not even there when they cut them. I just come by and sing them. So it's like, who's even, you know, producing the record? So I keep it really bare, and I go in, and now I'm like, when I cut a song, I almost cut and sing on it acoustic and then
Nice.
build everybody around it.
That's cool.
You know, it's just really helps me kind of figure out where the song needs to go from a starting point instead of coming in with something that's a little bit overdone.
Yeah. Have you ever run into, you just said something that reminded me of this. We were cutting a song, listened to the demo, and the Tom Bukovac, the guitar player, is like, man, that demo guitar sounds incredible.
It was him?
It was him.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen quite a bit. They're like,
Yeah.
he's like,
Tom's
man, now I'm
great
gonna have to
too,
try
man.
to get out of that world. He's like, that's what I felt
Well,
was
yeah.
perfect for this song, but now it's in a
You
different
think about
vein.
how hard it would be for a guitar player not to remember they played a lick or
Yeah.
something, you know what I mean?
I mean, those guys are playing on so many different things. You know,
There's the balls.
there he is.
Tom played on my record, this last one I put out, and I've got a song called Change My Mind on there.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, you listen to the intro
Okay.
lick. You'll know it's him in a second.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
That's one of those that I came in and I wrote it, very acoustic, very whatever. And that lick would have never came if I'd have demoed it.
Yeah.
Because it was in it just me playing and singing it on my phone.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay, so we sit around and we really try to figure it out, and that came out of it. You
Yeah,
know?
that's so cool.
So you're really letting your studio musicians have a lot of creative space,
Yeah.
which when you got guys like that, you want
Right.
to.
And that's the beauty of this town is you have guys like that are just geniuses.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that come out of his fingers and that he dreams up in his mind, like, man, like, where did that come from, dude? Like, holy shit, that's insane.
Yep.
That's one of the things we're spoiled with in this town. You know, you go down to Broadway or come through these bars in Midtown, and you listen to the bands, and then you go to like Ohio and walk into a bar and the band, and you're like, golly. I've noticed myself that I'm like, these guys are terrible, and then I'm like, well, my idea of what's good is pretty skewed because I have some of the best studio musicians in the world playing the bars down the street from where I live.
My realization for that probably is why I have the career I have, because I came up here one time, played an open mic at Tootsie's on Broadway, and there was 10 people in front of me and after me that were all better than me.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not going to Nashville for anything. So
Yeah.
I went back home and played and wrote songs, and
Right.
I got a career that way. So it was pretty eye opening coming up here and seeing how talented everybody is.
Seemed to work out well for you though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
made it
everybody's
to this
path is
podcast.
different.
And it's smart, man. I mean, it's like you can look at all these singing shows these days. Good singers are a dime a dozen, dude. There's incredible singers all over the country, and I mean, in this town, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make you a great artist, and it doesn't make you. It certainly doesn't give you the ability to write songs. I think the greatest art is the penning. Like when you guys write these songs, it's like, dang, man, like how did you? When somebody like me, a layman, looks at the song, on paper, I'm like, how the hell did they come up with that? Like, it's pretty incredible. You guys kind of create little worlds in 3 minutes for people in 3.5 minutes. It's a pretty special thing for sure.
Yeah. Like you were saying earlier too, it's like you have those certain songs that they may not be big hits, but I mean, I know personally, like I look forward to playing, 2 or 3 songs out of the set every night, and like that's my time on the stage where like I can be in my own little world, and it's not necessarily about the performance, not about people in the front row. It's about my connection with that song, and
Exactly.
And I think the audience and the fans realize that, and I think
If
they
I
connect
didn't
to
have
that
those,
authenticity.
I don't think I would enjoy it. I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, we got a couple little segments we do during this podcast. One of them is called Hard Ducking Questions. I would say you're if you want to duck, you can duck. If you don't want to answer, just say I'll duck that one.
All right, we'll see.
You single?
Single.
Okay.
That was an easy one.
There, you heard that, ladies. He's single.
How single?
Pretty damn.
Pretty damn. Pretty
Yeah.
damn. All right.
I know you're a big gym guy. You stay in pretty good shape. Most people can see that. You ever train legs though?
I'm gonna start after this. My body type, I've always been real skinny. When I got out of high school, I was like 6'3", 165 pounds, and it's all I can do to keep some weight on. And I'm just like 36 now, and I'm getting to where I can kind of keep a little bit of weight on.
Some of that grown man weight.
Yeah, man, it's a constant battle. Like I shouldn't complain about it because some people have a different problem. But like if I don't work out for 10 days, I'll lose 15 pounds.
That's crazy. I'm similar. I have like a lean. I'm obviously not 6'3", but I'm a lean, long body. I don't hold weight very easy. I have to eat like a horse.
It's a constant battle.
Train my ass off to keep any weight. Who's your favorite country artist other than yourself? It'd be kind of funny if you picked yourself.
I don't know if funny is the word I would use. I think that's a good way to not be liked by a lot of people. Well, I can honestly tell you I'm not my favorite. I mean, before we even started this podcast, I was telling you I don't like hearing my voice, but I've written songs that I like enough. I wish somebody else would sing them. I'm bad about that too. I'll go write with a couple of guys, and I'll be like, sing the work tape. They're like, well, you need to put your vocal on. Nah, I won't listen to it if I sing it. Like Randy Montana, you sing it, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Learn it that way.
Speaking of another badass.
Yeah, man, he's great.
He is.
Probably Jamie Johnson. I've always been a big Jamie Johnson fan. He's an
I can
Alabama
feel
guy,
that. Same here.
Yeah.
And definitely got some weight in his music.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Dude sings about some important stuff. And he's a great guy, too.
Yeah, man.
I got a Jamie Johnson story. I was with Jamie playing golf in Vegas, and I was raised by my great aunt and great uncle, and I found out that my great aunt passed away while I was with Jamie. So it was just me and Jamie. And Jamie's not a man of many words.
No.
And so we're in the golf cart, and I took a phone call and got pretty quiet. And again, Jamie's not the kind of person who would be like, hey man, what's going on with you? But he kind of looked over at me a couple of times. He could tell something was going on, and he stopped, pulled over, and he said, what's going on? And I told him, and we had a great conversation. And it was funny after I left that situation, as weird as it was. I was like, man, I don't think I would have rather been with anyone other than Jamie Johnson when I found that out. And
if you can get him opened up, man, he's
as good as it gets, dude.
He's a good dude,
as
man.
good as it
It's always
gets.
been great to me.
No doubt about that.
Incredible
all right.
singer.
What shade of Just for Men you use on that mustache?
Whatever. Just hold the box up to your hair.
Midnight Mocha.
Yeah. Midnight Mocha sounds good.
That's great. And who's your favorite athlete? You've been an athlete growing up. Who inspired you in sports?
Troy Aikman. I wore Brute cologne because of him. He was
That's
on the
amazing.
commercial. Yeah, I was a big Dallas Cowboys fan back then, and
What made you a Cowboys fan?
I don't know. I mean, everybody
And they were great in the 90s.
everybody liked the Cowboys a
And
little
then-
bit at some
yeah,
point, unless
no
you're from
doubt.
like Green Bay or something.
America's team.
But yeah, I played quarterback in school, and he was my favorite quarterback from that time. So I kind of followed.
I would feel the same way. We didn't have a team here in Tennessee when I was growing up, and Favre was my guy, so I was a Packer fan growing up.
I can remember when I became an Auburn fan. I was watching a football game, and I almost became an Alabama fan because of Freddie Kitchens. I remember
Yeah, he was a stud.
he was a backup quarterback, and they were playing somebody, and it was the last like minute drive of the game, and they had a chance to throw a Hail Mary to the end zone, and they put him in for that throw because he
That's
could
what
throw
they
further
subbed
than
him
the other
in,
guy.
yeah.
And I thought I'd like to be that guy.
Yeah.
Just for one play, he got in to throw it.
Uncle Rico.
But
Napoleon
Damian
Dynamite.
Craig was at Auburn,
Oh, yeah.
and I got to be a big Damian Craig fan. That was why I became an Auburn fan.
It's been pretty good. I mean,
That's cool.
back in, the Cam Newton days, Cadillac Williams, Ronnie
Oh, yeah.
Brown, I mean, Auburn was a handful back then. Being a Tide guy, I was not a fan of those
Yeah.
guys.
I'm unfortunately a Carolina Panthers fan, but we did have a few good years with
Yeah,
Cam.
he did, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. So career-wise, what kind of benchmarks? When I started, I was like, man, if I can just get a number one on the radio, that's it. If I can just play the Grand Ole Opry, if I
It's
can
the
just
thing that keeps
be
doing
on
this.
it is, and it's like there's always something new.
Yeah, not really having a lot of goals starting out has helped me, not be too caught up in charts and this,
Right.
that, and other. And as long as people are showing up to shows,
Yeah.
what else really matters? I mean, the tours are getting bigger, the venues are getting bigger, and they keep buying the tickets. So, I would say the Opry was a big one. My grandparents, to them, I was famous when I played the Opry.
Yeah.
They didn't care about anything else. Having song on the radio or number ones or, platinum records, all that stuff's a huge deal. Playing Red Rocks was
Yeah.
cool. Selling out, it's selling arenas on a headline tour.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't ever take that for granted because
Yeah.
I know how hard
It's
that
really
is.
hard to do.
I know how hard
It
it
is.
is. Yeah, and it's weird because it's happened a lot over the last few years, but it's always surprises me.
Yeah.
I show up somewhere. I mean, we had a show in Pennsylvania, and we kind of been off for the holidays, and it was NRA show. It was like a outdoor expo kind of thing.
Right.
So it's one of those things where there's a little bit of a built-in crowd, but a lot of them aren't going to the show.
Right.
And it was a sold-out arena. Like they all
That's
showed up, and I
awesome.
was like, remember being surprised. The weather was horrible. It was snowing, and
Right.
it's crazy how passionate people are about country
Yeah.
music, and how, like I said, when you can get some fans like that, they'll really show up for you. And
Yeah.
it makes you appreciate
It's
it.
pretty awesome, yeah. Got to be a cool feeling, no doubt about that.
And one thing somebody told me early on in our career was don't underestimate the intelligence of your listeners. And I think as an artist, I had a tendency to just think, whatever I put out, they're going to like. Because I guess I was arrogant and thought I knew what I was doing. But very quickly you realize that it is so much about the fans, because without the fans, you don't get to do this. And
Yeah,
I think that's kind of the beautiful thing. It's like when you're thinking of how you have to feed the beast, it's like you have to really be very purposeful, in my opinion,
Yeah.
with
Well,
how you approach it for their sake.
That goes
because-
back to me playing so many shows over the years. I think
Yeah.
that's the only reason I'm able to do what I'm doing. And even now, like we did a stadium tour with Luke Combs, and even arenas, you get so removed from the fans.
Right.
Where like when I would go play a small show in a room, acoustic or something,
Yeah,
you
you're right
really,
there.
yeah, and you see the reactions when you're in a room with 20,000 people. And they're you don't get that.
Right.
So it's in some ways you got to keep that connection, that intimate connection with fans.
Yeah.
Especially when you're writing your own songs to really kind of know what they're going to
Yeah.
react to.
And then there's just something to be said also for hearing a room full of 18,000 people screaming every word to every song.
No
that
doubt.
just fills your soul and makes you feel things you've never felt before.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever feel like the label wants you to, really sell the cheese, like the commercial pop country?
I've never dealt with that. Like I said, I had such a brand built. When Big Machine came down to my shows, Universal, Warner Brothers, and Big Loud all offered me record deals about the same time. And they came down to Birmingham. I was playing Iron City, and we had 2 nights sold out, 1,300 people in the room each night. and I'm playing songs I'd written. None of them were hits. None of them had been on the radio.
Right.
They're singing every word to them. So like, they kind of said, "Hey man, just keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna get behind you and help push it to, country radio and try to get y'all to a new audience." And we haven't really had that letdown of anything. We had a couple of songs that didn't, quite ring the bell. But like, I Wish Grandpa's Never Died peaked at 11 on country radio, but it's a
Great.
giant song.
Yeah.
It's triple
Yeah.
platinum, So I mean, those kind of not wins I'll take.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
they don't really push me in any direction musically. Stylistically, they let me do whatever I want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's kind of the beauty of the charts being slow. Also, is a song that may barely break the top 10 can oftentimes be a lot bigger than some
No
of these
doubt.
number ones that are
No
racing up
doubt.
the charts.
Yeah,
So,
I would take one of those number 11s over 3 number ones. I
Right.
think like that song's been game changing for me.
especially when it means something to you and
Exactly.
as much to you as it does. That's a really cool thing.
What's your take on award shows? I mean, we've seen some funny ones lately with Beyonce winning the Grammy for Best Country Artist after saying herself that it wasn't a country album, which I think if the creator says it's not a country album, for other people to decide that it is it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it's not one thing or one person or one award. It's a lot. I mean, it's outside of country music even, but how political
Politics.
Yeah.
money is what's driving things. And then with the problems we've had over the last few years with cancel culture and having to be so tiptoey around things you say or how they may be taken or skewed or whatever, I think that just carried over into award shows where
Yeah.
they're like, we've got to do it this way, we've got to accomplish this, and
We're gonna make these people happy.
it's
with
a
this.
lot less about the music. I'll
Yeah.
say that, and
Yes.
it's a sad thing, but you see that in a lot of different aspects of our culture is, it's just very politically driven. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is sad, man. Because I think growing up, as a kid, I thought, man, it was a big deal, real big deal to win Entertainer of the Year. I grew up, my family's farm bordered Loretta Lynn's farm, so I grew up knowing Miss Loretta pretty much my whole life. And people, probably the younger folks don't realize that Miss Loretta was 8-time female Entertainer of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Year. Nobody's even close. I don't think there's another female even close. But she. Back then, the awards went to the right people. I feel like it wasn't as political, and now it just is turned into like you said, like they're checking boxes. They're not listening to music. They're just checking boxes, and I think that's a shame. And it's it's a slight to the kids who grew up like me that are artists who get that's what maybe their goal or one of their milestones would be, and then they get slighted for something like that. It's just like I said, it's pretty wild to me. But yeah, I think you're right. Politics is probably the biggest driver there, which is in our world today, driving
Yeah.
everything.
And I think it's political in all award shows, but then there's certain ones like the Grammy Association. I mean, they say it right before they announce the last award, voted on by 13,000 voting Grammy members or members of the Academy. It's like it's a very small sample size, of people that are actually voting on this stuff compared to the amount of people that are listening to it.
Yeah.
And my favorite award shows are the fan voted ones, just because again that's why we get to do it.
well, it sure
So-
does seem like that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Again,
fan
yeah.
voted.
And even the fan voted ones, it's a little skewed,
It's
just
like-
because who they want to have win it. And
I have my opinions on this, but I will admit that I've been an ACM voter for a while, and I always just vote for my buddies.
yeah.
Like I don't even look. I don't think, I just vote for my friend.
Yeah.
I'm friends
I
with.
remember when we were on different labels, there was like the label would come to you and be like, "All right, our label has
Voting for
is
this person,
block
yeah.
voting for this person. We'd really really appreciate it if you voted that way too." It's
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this is real.
So I see. I didn't even realize there was even that there. So there is a little bit of a manipulation. in
I mean,
those
there's full
situations.
on like campaigns that like they
Yeah.
go after different labels and different groups to get them to support them. Hey, we'll support your act on this song for this award if you block vote.
Well, shit, the way things are
ours.
going these days, we may be able to get you a female country artist of the year.
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, with that being said, like, how do you? I mean, I feel like you're fairly, kind of outspoken about your beliefs and kind of stand firm in what you believe in. You don't seem like the type of person that's easily swayed. How have you kind of navigated the last 4 or 5 years in the business with all of the, just the LGBTQ thing being pushed on everybody, and you have to be tolerant of everything. I mean, I'm the type of guy, live and let live. Like, if you want to do your thing, I mean, do it, but don't force it on me. How have you kind of navigated those waters and kept your head above water?
Well, kind of in the same way. I've always tried to make it known that I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room. I mean, I know what I believe and think and how I was raised and the values and principles I have, and I don't feel like I have a reason to push anything on anybody else.
Yeah.
And, as a country music artist, I think that's where people, in my mind, make a mistake is, if somebody has a complete opposite view of you, you're not going to change their mind.
Right.
There's nothing you're going to say. Nobody's seen a tweet went, you know what, they're right. I'm going to delete mine.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. So for me, like, what am I trying to accomplish? I look at what I do as I'm an entertainer. I write songs, try to make somebody feel a certain type of emotion. And, honestly, some of those things that have come up and been pushed have made it tough on a lot of country music artists and our business. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to try to preach to somebody about something. I'm here to try to put on the best show I can, and hopefully they escape from the stresses of their lives by coming to my show, and that's kind of how I try to look at it and how I try to handle it. But it's a different world we live in now, and it's a wild time, and social media is really, driving all that.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to handle it is to turn your phone off every once in a while and
Amen.
disconnect.
Well, I think we all need to realize and remember that we're all in it together. We don't get to leave Earth, guys. Like, we need to make the best out of this. None of us get to just check out. So, I'm a firm believer in, getting along with everybody.
For sure.
I don't think there's very few things that we could be so different on that I can't work with you, just I wish people weren't so divisive and were a little more tolerant and could respect each other's opinions.
Yeah.
But we don't live in that time anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I had a question, kind of about the first song with Ella. Like, I've heard her version of like kind of how it all came about and the process of writing the song and whatnot, but I've never been able to talk to you about it. I was just kind of curious your take on how that all happened. And
Bradley Jordan, a promoter buddy of mine, who introduced me to Ella, and I've always kind of, if he has some act that's kind of up and coming and wants to put him on a show or something, I've always done it. And when I met Ella, I was obviously huge fan of her.
Right.
Being from Alabama, it was I think we grew up the same way, and we had a lot of similar influences. So she came on tour with me, and while she was on tour, Bradley played me that song, and I don't know if they had a plan to put it out or what they were going to do with it. He said, "There's something cool about this." I was like, "Yeah, man." The chorus is super catchy. The talking verses is very, old Conway. And, I didn't really think, there was nothing wrong with the song. I just said, well, if it would be helpful for me to write a verse and duet, because the second verse kind of said the same thing as the first verse. I thought, well, if it was a different perspective of the guy saying this is what it was like, maybe that'd be cool. So I wrote it, and I even remember being kind of conscious about, should I even send this? Because I don't want, she's on tour with me. I don't want to seem like, oh, I need to do this. I was like, so I sent the text. I said, hey, listen, I did a little work tape of this. If you like it, great. If not, no big deal. It's a cool song. And everybody liked it. Went and recorded it. I had no idea it'd be a hit. I mean, I just thought the talking verse was probably a little too traditional, honestly. But it was, very organic, very, just a couple of buddies that, tried something out. I figured it'd be cool to have a song together while we were on tour. Same thing happened with Luke Combs with Different Around Here.
Right.
I said, hey man, this is a song I'm going to make the next single. And that worked out well too. So it's nice when you can do things with your buddies and then they work out like that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard it on the radio. Actually, I don't think I heard it on Spotify the first time. I was like, dang, that's kind of ballsy to, put the spoken verse thing in there. But,
it was.
But I think that's what really makes it stand out. It's,
well, and the chorus is a nearworm. You can't help but hum it. And it was cool too. I had the title track of my album was a song I wrote called Don't Mind If I Do. And I wrote it as a duet. And I thought it was cool the girl would just have the last chorus and it was a kind of back to you chorus. And I never really heard that, so I didn't know who I was going to send it to. But I needed to get a female vocal on it just to make sure it was the right key and all that. So I called Ella to come down to the studio and she sang it and she just did so good. I was like, nobody's going to beat that. So, and here we are. We got two songs that are, become hits and they're very different stylistically.
For
so
sure.
it's cool that we have that success together on those.
Yeah, and I was listening to that song this morning, and in that breakdown section at the end, when her voice has this cool crack kind of thing to
Yeah.
it, which it does a lot, which is very cool characteristic of her voice. But
It's a
just
cool
right there,
moment
it
in that
shows
song,
like
too. I mean,
super
it's
vulnerable place in her voice that
really great.
makes it very believable. And the same thing with your voice. Everything you sing, I think it has a very believable quality about it, and I think that's what, for me personally, why I gravitate towards your sound and what you do. It's
Well, like I said, I think it all goes back to being able to write your own songs. You know, that's
Yeah.
going to come out really naturally. You know,
Yeah.
because something in your life inspired that.
Yep. Have you cut any outside songs?
I have, but it hasn't been many. You know, but it's probably mostly because I don't get sent a lot of songs.
Yeah.
I think people think I write all my own
Right.
stuff. But I've cut a handful of them. You know, it's just got to be something that, for me, I'll hear something and go, I could write that.
Right.
But if it's a great song, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's an awesome song. There's a lot of stuff I've heard that I wish I'd been sent.
Yeah.
You know, but the song wins for me. I don't care
Yeah.
if I was a writer on it or not. What I need is songs that I enjoy playing and songs that crowds want to hear me play.
Right. And like you've said, I mean, there's certain songs that I think that maybe you haven't written that you can identify with. But
Yeah.
for me, as an artist, performer, writer, it's easier to be more authentic when you're performing a song that you were a part in
That's right.
writing, just because it kind of you're living your story and you're singing your story.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, but it's a weird catch-22, especially in this town, because
Yeah. Well, I've
you
had
want to play the
songs-
game as much as you can and be a
Yeah.
team player. And I mean, this town is all about writing. So
Well, I think my thing is I'll take a little time off from writing and I'll start a bunch of stuff or have a bunch of titles,
Mhm.
and I'll go sit down with the folks I like writing with and, pour them
Yeah.
out. We'll write 10 songs in a couple of days,
yeah,
But I've had songs like, Singleton I write with a lot, Jonathan, and he can do things vocally that I can't do. So I'll have
Yeah.
a song like, man, that's awesome. I want to cut that. And I'll go sing, go, nope, can't cut that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah.
can see that.
He's a freak of nature. I mean, the guy could sing the phone book and I'd listen to it. Very
So,
cool.
I mean, obviously you're the duckman. Is that your favorite hunt? Deer? You like what's your favorite
It just
animal?
depends
to
on
hunt?
what time of year it is. And
Well, whatever season, right?
Yeah, I get into turkey hunting's coming up, so I'm all fired up about that. And then bow season will come in, and I'll be fired up about that for a while. And then when it gets cold, I want to go chase some ducks around. So
Yeah.
I just like being out there, just somewhere where my phone doesn't work and nobody can get a hold of me. And
Yeah.
the craziness of this lifestyle, it's nice to have that. That's a good balance.
That escape.
It's good time in a blind, though. I
It
grew
is.
up down on the Tennessee River bottoms, down in Benton County, Humphreys County line, where there's some pretty good duck hunting down there. We just get in the blind and get drunk, try not to shoot each other.
Oh yeah.
But it's a good time. It's always a good time.
It's a different kind of hunting. Like
Yeah.
deer hunting, I get my real disconnect 'cause I'm out there by myself.
Yeah.
And duck hunting is more of the camaraderie. You're all sitting there
Yeah.
cooking breakfast in the blind, hanging out. And it's a different kind of hunt.
Definitely.
You hunt elk at all?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
my first elk last year in Montana. I drew 3 out of the last 4 years, and
Wow.
I couldn't put together a week to go. I went
Right.
for 2 days one year, and it was bow hunting, so
Right.
it was pretty tough. But I got one this past year, really good elk.
That's awesome. You said out in Montana?
Yeah,
That's great.
That's probably I think the most gratifying way to hunt is with a bow. It just takes so much more patience.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you're in a stand with a rifle, he's 150 yards away, he's dead. You got to sit there. He may walk around at 150 yards for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You just got to sit there and wait for him to get to 25.
there's a lot of things have to go right to kill a big deer with a bow, and,
Yeah.
and how you set up and what tree you pick makes a big difference.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
What during hunting season? What's your balance as far as how much time you spend in the woods?
I haven't
versus,
taken off yet.
Yeah,
That I'm sure that's coming.
yeah,
But when I have a day or two off, I'm going somewhere. I don't think my managers or anybody has any idea where I'm at when hunting season's in. It's like if I'm not on the road, I'm going somewhere.
So I got another little segment that we would like to do during the show. It's called Flying Blind. So obviously, you don't know what's coming.
So that's the whole segment could have been called that, the whole show.
Yeah, right. So I'm just gonna say a name or a word, and you can tell me what your first thought is. Ducks.
Tricky.
I thought you were gonna say dead.
That would have been slick. Not most of the time they're not.
yeah.
I used to lease a little property in Ball Play, Alabama, and I remember we didn't have a lot of duck hunting in Alabama, and I remember I would walk a mile, and like you had to pull your boot out of the mud every step to go maybe see a duck. You know, like we
Right.
wouldn't kill anything. Like I was that eat up with it back then, so they definitely beat me more times than not.
No doubt. Alabama.
That's just home, you know.
Absolutely.
I think it always will be. I think I'll end up spending a lot of time up here, but that's where I go when I,
Yeah.
you know.
I was about to say, how often do you get back to Alabama?
Well, I didn't go much this year, but every chance I get, I go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still home.
Do you keep
for
a
me.
place in Alabama?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
a big farm right there in Jacksonville
Nice.
where I live at. My whole family lives right there. So
That's killer.
yeah,
So
Pops
I
runs a
know
farm.
we had a buddy miss one a week or two ago. Who's the worst shot? You know.
Oh, Greg Kemp's got to be up there. You know, I mean, he's killed some good ones too. He's a lot better duck shot. I don't think he gets so nervous when he's shooting ducks.
Shooting
you know,
ducks.
yeah, but he definitely has. There's always a story with Greg. I'll say that.
He's got
It's
an
never just
excuse.
like got him. It's always a story.
That's great. Megan Maroney.
Talented.
Very.
I was, you know, I did the Brooks and Dunn reboot this time,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to listen to it. And my favorite song on there's not mine. She did "Nothing About You,"
Mm-hmm.
which I forgot all about that song. I wish I
Yeah.
would have
It
done
is a
that.
great song.
But it's so hard to take something that was already right and make it your own, or try to make it better. And like that was one of those where it was like almost kind of rock
Yeah.
feeling, but really cool version of it. But
And how the hell are you gonna sing Ronnie Dunn songs?
yeah, I had to sing "She Used to Be
Sing Double
Mine" with him
Truth.
sitting there in the room. It's
Damn.
probably a little easier for her, somebody a little more talented vocally than I am, but that's a tough thing to go do.
Absolutely, I can't imagine that dude. We've had him in here on this small stage before, and I mean, I just sat there like,
Yeah, it's
good.
a different
grief.
kind of
And I mean,
talent.
he's older.
they make it look easy too.
No doubt, no doubt.
Excuse me. Is that all your?
That was the. Oh no, I forgot. Well, we covered that one earlier. That's why I skipped it. The Grammys. I was gonna just see what your thought was on the Grammys.
Then you watch it.
There you go.
Yeah. Neither did I.
Yeah.
When are they?
But I heard they were good. Yeah.
When are they?
Sometime next year,
Who's
I think.
Yeah, I saw the clips on social media. That's where all
Yeah.
my outrage came from.
Right. Well, like you said, you're always recording, always writing. Like, what's next in the pipeline for you? I know you've had some new
I'm
stuff
in the
come out.
studio this
and-
month. Written a lot last few weeks, so I've got some stuff. You know, that's the fun part too, is when you've got the songs and then
Right.
you're going like, what am I trying to say with this project?
Yeah.
Which ones do I, you know, and it's great too, because you know, my album came out in October last year, but I haven't toured really. I've
Right.
played a lot of shows since then, but having my headline tour this year, I get to play all those new songs,
That's
and
awesome.
there's a couple of them that are hits, you know, that I haven't really played much, so that'll
Nice.
be fun.
Who you gonna have out on the road with you this year?
Ella Langley's out, Drake White, Jake Worthington,
Nice.
Lauren Watkins,
Cool.
Man.
Wyatt McCubbin, Eric Dillon.
Very
Take
cool.
some songwriters out there so I can
Yeah.
write a little bit while I'm there. But it's going to be a
That's
big,
awesome.
very festival style. A lot of
Right.
a lot of openers out there with me.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah, Drake can sing the phone book too.
Drake's
man.
great.
Yeah, I
Good gracious.
love Drake. That's awesome. Well, that pretty much covers it. We
Right
appreciate
on, man.
we
Yeah,
appreciate
man,
you.
We appreciate you coming in and hanging
sitting
out
down
with
with
us
us.
today. We're here in Riley Green's Duck Blind.
Yeah,
so,
it was easy. I just walked over from
He let us
the
use.
bar.
He let us use his.
Yeah,
Second home.
thanks for letting us use your bar for our podcast.
Yeah, man, no problem.
We appreciate it. It's been a long time coming, so
Yeah, always good to
thrilled
see
to
you, brother.
break it in with
Yeah,
you.
appreciate it, man. Sir.
Yeah.